Okay, so it's now round 15 in the NRL season, and it's a really interesting round because of Origin. We have a lot of bye teams this weekend. We only got 5 matches. Sharks Dragons is the first match coming up. Two teams coming off the back of bad defeats. It's going to be a really intriguing matchup. Sharks at home. A lot of pressure on. I do think there's a lot of pressure on Nico Hines in this game. They have got some injuries in the pack and in the outside backs. Kaolero, for example, is out for the season over that pec injury. On the Dragons side of things, really disappointing defeat. Worst defeat of the season, their worst performance of the season. So these two sides coming off the back of defeats, going to need to be a response. This is more of a litmus test for the Sharks, though, to establish their top four credentials, because their performances in recent weeks, there's been some concerning performances. Are they really able to compete with the top four? Could they be a premiership dark horse? Their form has slipped. The Dragons just inconsistent, but that defeat last week was really, really poor, and has raised some eyebrows about the squad's morale, the squad's composition, some of their more veteran players not putting in performances and leading. So it's going to be an interesting one. It's a local derby. These are two sides that don't like each other very much. I'm expecting a good atmosphere at Shark Park, expecting a sellout as well. It's going to be interesting, as I say, the response that both sides put in, because both sides were very, very disappointing last week, and the Sharks' recent form has been a bit troubling. The Dragons, however, have managed to beat sides in the top 8 and some sides actually competing for the top 4. They can pull out of the bag some really good performances, but I'm expecting a response from the Dragons following that 50-point humbling at the weekend. The Titans Sea Eagles, two other sides coming off the back of defeats. The Titans, their form is nosedive. They are in serious trouble. This is a must-win game for them, because they have tumbled down the ladder. We do know the Titans can score points. They are a young, talented side in attack, but defensively they are poor. The Sea Eagles, they're coming off the back of that Golden Point defeat to the Knights. A lot of pressure on Cherry Evans to put in a performance. First half against the Knights, he was brilliant. Second half, he was poor, and obviously he's been dropped from Queensland. And the Sea Eagles, they have some ability. They have some exciting players, but they defeated themselves against the Knights. They wiped the floor with the Newcastle Knights in the first half of that game. The Knights were booed off at half time up in Newcastle, and they just fell apart in the second half. They didn't turn the screw. They didn't keep up the pressure. They allowed the Knights back into the game, and they just stopped playing. So there needs to be a response from the Sea Eagles, because it was a disappointing second half. And Cherry Evans, let's see how he responds to his recent form, which has been a little bit shaky, but also to being dropped by Queensland, because he's been made the full guy for their loss in game 1 of Origin. The Knights Roosters is going to be an interesting one. The Knights obviously fresh off that morale boosting Golden Point win, come behind win against the Sea Eagles at home. They've got to put in an 80-minute performance. They've got to turn up in the first half. And recently, their form is win, loss, win, loss, win. They've had very inconsistent form. The Roosters coming off the back of the bye. The Roosters' form has been improving, and you can definitely see this is a young, talented Roosters side. And I'm very intrigued to see how Mark Nwangari-Tawase is going to continue his development. He's been a revelation for the Roosters, and he's a very exciting player. He's still got weaknesses in his game, obviously. He's still learning the game at first grade level. But when you watch the Roosters play as a neutral, it's always an exciting game. There's never a dull game with the Roosters. So I'm actually really looking forward to this matchup. Can the Knights get a back-to-back win since the second round, since the first opening 2 rounds of the season? And can the Roosters just continue to show their development as a squad, especially a young squad, and just continue to entertain? You don't know what you're going to get from the Roosters. It's either a close defeat or a really good win, but either way, they're fun to watch. They're youthful, they're exuberant, they're exciting. This Knights side, they've got some good young, Sharp and Hunt, for example, two really young, talented mullets, I should say, two young, talented players as well. So there's some really young, talented players on display here. It's going to be interesting, especially with the Origin period, with players getting call-ups, how that impacts things. So let's just see what young players put their hands up and say, look, coach, next round you've got to select me. That's going to be a fun matchup. I think that could be the matchup of the round for me personally. Cowboys Dolphins is a Queensland derby. Dolphins, I mean, recently their attack is really starting to pile on the points, so we know the Dolphins can score points. The Cowboys, we know they can score points, we know they can be exciting, but they're missing Dearden this week because of Origin. It's going to be interesting to see who the halves partnership is. Purdue, are they going to continue with the experiment with him in the halves, even though he is a halfback from reserve grade and the youth grades? They have been playing him more in the centres, although Labert's come back into the side. So it's going to be interesting to see what the halves partnership looks like for the Cowboys. They are going to be missing a lot of players because of Origin. And so the Dolphins have a very good chance to get another win as they climb up the ladder. The Dolphins have the opportunity to make the top 8. And this is the season where we are now expecting that real next step, because they've been close in their first 2 seasons to the top 8, narrowly missing out. But this seems lately they're starting to build something. The Cowboys, they are still a very young, fun side to watch when they're playing well, but they're just inconsistent. So a bit of consistency in that. I think there will need to be a response after that defeat last weekend. The Bunnies Bulldogs is going to be an intriguing one as well. The Rabbitohs, I mean, look, the Bunnies, they're missing Latrell Mitchell because of Origin. They're still not fully fit. They're still missing players through injury. There's still question marks over their halves partnership. But their form this season has been better than expected. That's the Wayne Bennett effect. But the Bulldogs, though, the Bulldogs are finding ways to win. And it's going to be interesting again with the Lockie Galvin situation, with Burton being called up into the New South Wales Blues side, Crichton being called up into the New South Wales Blues side. It's going to be interesting to see how that impacts the Bulldogs with those 2 key players out. But the Bulldogs have been fun to watch as well. They've got a lot of young, talented players putting their hand up and putting a shift in and really showing a lot of development and growth under Seraldo. This is going to be a fun matchup. It really is, because the Bunnies, without Latrell Mitchell at the beginning of the season, played really well. They found ways to win. They got some momentum going. It's an intriguing matchup. And Lockie Galvin, he's going to be given some responsibility this weekend with Sexton. Reid Marnie, where's his head at, considering what's going on with his potential future at the club? It's going to be an interesting one. There's an opportunity for the Bunnies to get a good win at home here, but at the same time there's an opportunity for the Bulldogs to really establish their premiership credentials without key players. If they can win without their key players, that's a good sign for the Bulldogs as well. They have really developed as a team under Cameron Serrell. They've taken massive strides. The way they played this season has been fantastic. The momentum they've built, they've only dropped a couple of games. Really fun matchup there. In my opinion, I'm really looking forward to the head-to-head. I mean, the way they played against the Eels, they were tested by the Eels on Monday, and they came out with flying colours. So it's a really intriguing matchup, and I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to see how Lockie Galvin really plays with the Bulldogs with a full 80 minutes. It's going to be interesting, and we'll see his development and how changing teams, how that's benefiting him. He got a very positive response when he came on for the Bulldogs against the Eels. So the Broncos, Raiders, Tigers, Panthers, Eels, Warriors and Storm all have the bye because of Origin, and this weekend's action has the potential to really change the bottom half of the table and where teams sit. There's the opportunity for some teams to leapfrog other teams because of points differential, because of the bye round. It's going to be very, very interesting. We are now deep into the Origin period. Some teams are more hampered than other teams with Origin selection. So again, that's really interesting to see how their depth players perform. But the season so far has been very, very exciting. Everyone can beat everyone. It's been a very unpredictable season. And who would have thought at round 15 that the Bulldogs would still be the top team in the NRL? So there we go. Thank you very much for watching. Please place your thoughts in the comments section below. Please like, subscribe, and also click that membership tab as well. And I'll have some more content for you all very, very soon.